This is the video tutorial for the MIDC Caseload Tracker for the individual assignments. This is one of three main spreadsheets that we have built out to help folks track their standard 6 workload limits and everything. There's other videos for the other versions. This is a more advanced version. I'll talk about what its purposes are. If you're just looking for a basic calculator, the basic version is for you, but this one has some additional features and some additional complexities that may be useful for you depending on what you want to use. Overall, the way that this spreadsheet works is it allows you to enter data for assignments and docket shifts on an individual basis, and then it will calculate the attorney workloads over the last 365 days. So essentially, every time you make an assignment, every time you have an attorney work an arraignment shift, you enter it in individually, and then the spreadsheet will kind of automatically calculate the standard 6 workload and the maximums and things that they have left of that nature. This is a more involved spreadsheet. It has some additional features than the basic version, but this would be a tool if you have, if you want to track caseloads in this way, you don't have a case management system, this may be a good middle ground for you. It's a little bit more involved than the basic version, so it will be a little bit more complicated of a tutorial. As always, we're available for questions to walk you through how to use this. So basically, you'll see down here, there are 3 tabs on this spreadsheet: annual, individual assignments, and data sources. And we're going to need to use all 3 of these to make the spreadsheet work the way we want it to. I'm going to start in data sources because it's an important basic tool for you to make this function properly. If you click on data sources, you'll see 3 bits of data. This says 1 year ago. It's the date a year ago today. You don't have to touch that. It'll automatically update. Assignment type are the assignment types for the spreadsheet. Again, you don't need to modify this. Don't modify this. What you do need to look at is you do need to include a place to put your attorney's names. So basically, column A here on the data sources tab, you want to type in all of your attorney's names. And the reason you're going to type your attorney's names here as opposed to elsewhere is this is going to prevent you from having any issues with typos where, instead of putting Jane Smith, you put Jane Smythe with a Y, and then it will not know that that's the same person and has the same workload. This is going to create a drop-down menu on the other sheets, as you'll see. And so you won't have to think about, did I type the name in wrong and is that causing me any problems? So first thing you do when you get this is you go to data sources and you type in your attorney names. You can see I have test attorneys 1 through 18 here for the purposes of our demonstration. Then the next thing you have here is an individual assignments tab. And so right here you can see I've already got some pre-built examples, but I'll talk through some other ones. What we have here is 5 columns. This is where you're going to enter your data for the purposes of this spreadsheet. We have attorney name, we have date, we have description, we have assignment type, and we have docket hours. I'm going to walk through each one of these and talk about an example, but you'll see also over here on the right is we have a reminder about how all of this works. So I'm going to remove these arrows now that you've seen these columns, and we're going to walk through. You'll see a couple of examples kind of already here, but I'm going to show you how this works across the board. When you click into the attorney box, there becomes a drop-down menu where you can select one of the attorneys you've already identified. Let's use test attorney 3. Test attorney 3, so we're talking about an assignment for them, and this is where we're going to enter the date of either the assignment or the shift. It's important to note this field must be a date. You cannot put anything that isn't a date in here. So I'm just going to show you, for example, I'm going to type MIDC here, hit enter, tell me that I can't do that. Good, it's only going to accept a correct date. So now let's try March 1st, 2024. And hit enter. It accepts that. It's a date. That's great. Then we'll say, what's the description? The description is not required, but it's going to be useful for you either to identify what type of shift work it is, or usually to put the case number is what I would recommend just for reference purposes. Let's say 24,000,2, and let's call it a state misdemeanor, just for whatever, for our purposes. Whatever, you can put anything you want in the description field. You don't have to put anything in the description field. This is just for you to be able to identify what it is. Then here over on assignment type, this is another drop-down menu that's pre-populated. Since it's a state misdemeanor, we're going to look for what our options are: felony, traffic misdemeanor, non-traffic misdemeanor, docket, or probation violation. Since this is a non-traffic misdemeanor based on our example, we're going to select that. And then we are done with this person because that's all we have to do. Docket hours is a different thing. So I'll show you now an example where we're going to put in the docket hours. Let's say test attorney 3. again, let's see what we've got here, test attorney 3, and let's say the next day, on March 2nd, we assign them an arraignment shift. And we just type that in, and then on assignment type, we're going to select docket, and then we're going to say, type in how many hours they worked. Let's say they worked 3 hours on that docket. When you're putting in a docket coverage, you have to select docket and put hours. If you don't select docket, it won't count the hours. If you select felony instead and type in hours, it's not going to count the hours. It will only count the hours if this says docket. You don't want to put any hours in if you're talking about just an assigned case. That's what we're doing here. So you see, we're just putting in, it's a very simple spreadsheet, attorney, date, description, assignment type, and docket hours if necessary. And then what this is going to do is it's going to take this data that you put in here, and it's going to put that data into this annual tab down here. And so we'll see here, right now we have nothing on the spreadsheet. It's just across the board, the basics. And I'll walk through what this is, and then I'll show you how it's going to populate it. So on the farthest left-hand side, we have attorney name. That's where you're going to put your attorney names. I'll show you that in the example. Then next we have workload to date, where this is going to tell you their felonies, their non-traffic misdemeanors, their traffic misdemeanors, their probation violations, and their docket hours so far. And the way the spreadsheet works is it is going to calculate these values for the last 365 days based on the date you entered on the individual assignment or the individual docket hours. So it is going to look in the spreadsheet and say, in the last year, do we have a felony assignment, a misdemeanor assignment, etc. Then it's going to take that data and it's going to calculate a percentage cap. So basically, if in the last year you have assigned them 150 felonies, it is going to put 150 felonies here, and it is going to put 100% of the cap here, and it's going to tell you they are out of felonies, they're out of possible assignments the rest of the year. And then what you can do is see this for all of your attorneys in real time based on the last 365 days. So if they've worked 75 felonies and 200 non-traffic misdemeanors, it'll show 100% of the cap because they've reached 100% of the cap in the last year. And it's going to show you what percentage cap they are, and then how many assignments you could potentially give them at that point in time. It's important to note that on this maximums left, these are maximums in each category. So it's up to 150 felonies, it's up to 400 misdemeanors. It's not both. It's the maximum if you only assign them work in that category. So I'm going to show you how this works. How the spreadsheet kind of functions to gather this data. So on the individual assignments tab, we have test attorney 1, test attorney 3, and test attorney 9 over here. So we've entered a little bit of data for each of those 3 attorneys. And so what we would expect to see if we did this correctly, if we put these attorneys on that other spreadsheet, we'll see 1 felony for test attorney 1, we'll see a non-traffic misdemeanor and some docket work for test attorney 3, and we'll see an arraignment shift with 4 hours for test attorney 9. So that's how it's going to work. So I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do here. So for attorney name, we're going to select attorney 1, and you'll see that felony assignment popped up. They're at 1% of their cap, essentially, and this is how much work they can do. So let's pick test attorney 3, and we should expect to see a non-traffic misdemeanor and some docket hours. And there it goes. It pops right up. Test attorney 9, and we're going to see those docket hours that we logged, and it's going to automatically calculate, pull those in, and then calculate the cap, how much work they can do the rest of the way. What's interesting about this, as I noted, is that it's going to allow you to look at only the last calendar year, last 365 days from the day that you were looking at the spreadsheet. So let's pick another attorney, and let's take test attorney 2. And now what we're going to do is we're going to input a date that is more than a year before the day that we're recording this. So I'm going to put February 1st, 2023. That's more than a year before what we're doing. I'm going to type in a case number, just for example. I'm going to load up a felony. And so what we're going to expect to see here, when we go back to the annual tab, test attorney, and we're going to put test attorney 2 in, it is not showing anything in the felony column because that felony is more than a year old. It is no longer part of the last calendar year. If we go back to the individual assignments tab and we make this February 1st, 2024, hit enter. And when we go back, now we have a felony for test attorney 2 because now it's within the last year. So the way this is going to work is all you have to do is think about putting in individual assignments and individual dockets as they come in on this sheet. You get the attorney and the date right, the type right, and then you put the attorney, you select the attorney in here, and it will automatically pull in their workload for the last year. It will automatically calculate how close they are to their annual maximum over the last 365 days, and it'll tell you how much room is left under the cap in each of these situations. One additional thing to show you, if you have more, there are 18 rows here for attorneys to put in. If you have more than 18 attorneys in your system, it's very simple to increase the number. You just highlight the row, right click, insert, and then all you have to do is highlight the data and drop it down, and you're good to go. If you're not comfortable using Excel, if that makes you a little bit nervous that you might mess something up, all you have to do is let us know at MIDC, and we're happy to send you a spreadsheet with the right number of attorney list rows for you. So that is all you have to do. So basically the purpose of this caseload tracker is if you want to just put the data in as you make the assignments, and then the spreadsheet will do the work for you. It'll calculate all the totals for you. It will drop the cases that are more than a year old, so you know exactly where you are at any point in time. It does require you to put the data in as it comes in, or maybe at the end of the month you run through and you type in all the assignments you made. But you do have to enter the data individually by assignment or by docket hour, and it will spit out this nice set of outcomes for you. As always, we're available for questions to help walk you through this, and there's also written documentation that goes along with this as well.